Hey Billy, last time we spoke about a concept of space in music and trying to have some silence before and after notes just to give some definition and to those notes. Today I want to talk about a different concept, more of in the timing and rhythm area. And so it's the concept of groove. And what is groove? And I've heard over the years lots of teachers that I've even had and some that I've listened to, they've had their own concept and idea of what groove is. Some that I really am not agreeing with as much. I think partly what they say might be truthful, but I'll give you what I believe is the definition of groove. And so here's what I think groove is, and it's based on my opinion, of course, and what I would consider maybe some factual information as well. But that is why they call it music theory and not music facts. But anyway, groove, I believe groove is the push and pull of rhythm over a steady pulse or beat. And so what that means is that it's not a solid tempo. It's not something that is always exact and can be duplicated by one of these, a metronome. But it has a lot more feeling to it, and which is what music really should have, is feeling. Once we start doing this kind of thing, then we take that organic life out of it. And again, then, you know, I'm out of a great hobby and job, and we start giving jobs to computers, which is more and more what's happening anyway. But yeah, so groove is a push and pull of rhythm, which again is a very organic type thing. I've heard instructors say groove is established when 16th notes are on top of a beat and all. And you know, there's some truth to that, but I think there's more to it. To give you that idea, if I were to take a tempo like this metronome, which is solid, it'll always give me right now the 72 beats per minute. It'll always do it until that battery dies, which is great. But that doesn't mean that this is groove. And the concept of having 16th notes over that, let's say, okay, 16th notes, well that just means I put four clicks on top of every one of those beats, and then we have groove established. All I did was speed it up. This is not groove, that's for sure. It's just annoying. It's like water torture for the ears if you were to be locked up in a room with this for too long. But groove, yeah, it's the push and pull. So is this helpful and useful to establish a groove? Without a doubt. I use this tool a lot. It's extremely helpful. And so if we were to look at music throughout time and learn from that, we can go back even to classical music, where I don't believe they had as much groove going on, but there was a push and pull of rhythm that was a little bit different. Back in the Baroque era, Bach, he would write music that had not a specific designation of 60 beats per minute and things like that, but you know, it would be andante, allegro, and presto, and those were ranges. And even within a piece of music, it could speed up and slow down, and that was to give it emotional effect. When the player, and a lot of it was, which is really neat, was up to the musician themselves to establish where parts should be faster or slower, and the type of emotion that was being conveyed while they were playing it. So that's kind of a neat idea. And if you don't believe me, just listen to Yo-Yo Ma play, you know, some of the Bach cello suites. It'd be kind of neat. But then we go back, we go not as far, and we go to like Motown era, which is 50s, 60s, 70s era. And there was a lot of push and pull of rhythm and groove established in that music as well. if we listen to, you know, some of, well, the Funk Brothers, who recorded a lot of that music, they would even state that they would try to pull back on beat 3 as they recorded the music. And of course, they were likely just giving the music what they felt like it needed and called for. But really, a lot of the groove comes from swing and shuffle feels, which was established a lot from jazz. And jazz, although we'd give it a time like that, there was a swing feel on it, and it was not straight eighth notes or 16th notes. As a matter of fact, when swing is specifically notated, it is a triplet feel with eighth notes. So if you were to break that down, and that might not even, if that's really recorded, it might not even line up exactly that way if you were to digitize it on a computer. But you know, a groove can be established. The tempo can be established using this. Groove is more up to the player and how they can project that over this given tempo, and then it's up to the listener too to really feel it. And as you probably have experienced, some people say, "Wow, this song is really groovy," and then other people really don't feel that. So it's really in the the eye of the beholder, and the person that's listening and really pulling that information into their ears. It's how they convey it. So we can have a steady pulse like that, and then I can play the same thing, but that is not a groove at all. But if I were to try to push and pull, and of course I'd add some other stuff. We take the notes out of it, and we can even try to establish a little bit of a groove on top of that, but you might notice that the feeling I was giving was a little bit of a swing and shuffle, the gallop feel even, and that often establishes a groove. It's that push and that pull. You can really notice it. One thing, and more recent artist that really tried to make the groove and that push and pull of rhythm happen, but they didn't really take off as well. But there was an artist by the name of Raphael Saadiq, and he had teamed up with an artist that was a bit well-known, D'Angelo, and those two guys had teamed up and came up with this style of music called gospedelic. Now you notice the two roots in there, the gospel and the funkadelic, and they try to put those two together to come up with this style. And the concept is really great. I haven't heard a ton of songs that had it, but a few of them that were really progressive. I thought they were pretty awesome. But the idea was that you had a timekeeper, which was a drummer, and they were solid. As a matter of fact, they used Questlove for their drummer often. And Raphael Saadiq was a bass player, and you probably might know that name too. He's quite famous. He was in Tony, Tony, Tony. And, but they did some amazing stuff. And this idea was that the drums would play solid, just like a metronome, but the bass and maybe even some of the other instruments would lag behind, be solid on beat 1, but lag behind on some of the other beats. And it was a really neat concept, and I'd love to hear more of it. And it'd be great if that kind of took off too, because I think that would really test people and make them think different ways about music. And it's always great to have new ideas in music anyway. instead of some of the same old stuff that we hear on the radio a lot. But anyway, I hope that's something to play around with, and really something to think about is groove and how you can push and pull the rhythm, because often that is the role of the bass player, to really try to establish a groove. Because the drums, they can, don't get me wrong, but for many of the styles of music that we often play in modern music now, it's the drums are keeping solid time. So we have some room to wiggle for push and pull of the rhythm. Yeah, try working on that, have some fun with that. Thanks, and feel free to put a comment or question, and I will most definitely respond to it. So thanks so much. Bye.